Kia ora, everybody. Welcome back to regular programming. Welcome back to Untidy.
I wonder if some people are gonna be disappointed. They'll be like, "Oh, I was actually quite enjoying Alice."
Well,
You
she's
know?
great. She's great. And
She's
I
so good.
want her to be my actual friend. Like, I think we could catch up. I wish she
Yeah.
lived closer, like a lot of people, but
Well, by the sounds of it, when I was listening to the episodes, I was like, "Sounds like you guys are friends." It was
I
great.
think so. We had a very natural chemistry. I hope you're not jealous. I mean, if I'm honest,
Only
Maddie,
slightly, only
yeah,
slightly.
if I'm honest, sometimes I watch the reels of you and Maddie and I feel a little bit jealous.
I know. But do you know what I was saying to Art this morning? I was like, "Oh my god, the amount of content I have to mine my life for." It's like, bloody hell. Nothing is safe. Nothing.
Nothing.
Because
Yeah.
I gotta have content for the podcast. I gotta have content for 5 days a week, 4 hours on the show. It's
Oh
like,
my God.
my God.
God, I bet if he didn't feel nervous before, he must feel nervous now. It's not like we haven't
Who
mined him and we yeah, and we won't continue to do so.
I know. You think you have personal boundaries? Well, I'm gonna cross them. All right. So
You're just gonna start coming like bursting into the bathroom running like, "Ha!" Try and catch him in a
Oh,
moment of
God, poor man.
vulnerability.
The poor
Poor,
man. But
poor
no,
man.
genuinely, Alice did such a great job. So
Oh,
wonderful listens.
oh my God, I just adore her. She's great. She's so
Mm,
fun. And, she wanted to catch up with you too. So I'm like, well, that's fair.
mm.
We can all be part of it.
Yeah,
It's
we
not
can all
just
be
her and I.
friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't gatekeep Alice, okay?
No, I won't, so long as you don't gatekeep Maddie.
Okay, yeah, let's all share our new friends.
It's
So,
very open, very modern.
it's fluid, it's fluid.
We're very fluid, you know?
Speaking of fluid, you just got back from a fluid appointment, did you not?
She's straight back into the beautiful segues.
Was that
She
not
saw that and she just was like, "I can work with this.
close enough, close enough.
Watch me slide laterally." Thank you, Maddie. By the way, we haven't introduced ourselves. I'm Hannah
Oh my
Davison.
god. Already
Who cares?
forgotten the most
Who
important
cares?
thing. You're
I
Hannah
know.
Davison, I'm Matilda Green. We have fluid friends and
We're comfortable with it.
we are comfortable. And Hannah just had a fluid appointment, so it's
I
just
did, and now you're wondering which fluid are we talking about because
is
there's
it coming out or
options.
going in?
Both.
It's coming
Sorry.
in and out.
I'm sorry. Okay, get it together. Okay, so here's
Okay.
what happened. I had my second PRP injection, my second knee injection. I had it at a different place with the sports doctor. Now, when if you're getting something done to a part of yourself that you feel vulnerable about, you go in there and you look at those professionals and you're like, don't fuck this up. Like,
Yeah,
just don't do anything to make me feel in any way
because
disconcerted
'cause
about your capability.
they're steering the ship, so you're like, "You be confident, you make me feel at ease because I'm new and you're not."
Yeah. So, first impressions, very important. Okay.
Yes.
So, first of all, he's late. Okay. Well, I'm like, all right, doctor, we'll accept that. Like, I do
Mhm.
have time to do Wordle now. Got it in 5 out of 6. I wasn't thrilled. Wasn't thrilled.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, we can get better from there.
Yeah, on that we can improve. He invited me into this consultation room to, first of all, they've got to draw your blood, and he was taking 60 mils, which is a lot. The consultation room was in the middle of a transition to be set up as some sort of like concussion assessment room.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, already, there's piles of towels on the bed, which I actually want to lie down on. There was stuff everywhere. And I'm like, ah. He's like, sorry. And now I'm thinking, oh, he doesn't do this very often. He doesn't do this very much. Now I'm not worried about it. When was
This
the
is
last
not
time?
great for your ADHD too, to have, like walk into a mess of a room.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Oh god.
No. And then I was like, do I smell something? Does it smell musty in here? It's just starting to get. And then he goes to draw my blood. And like if you're getting blood drawn from you,
Mm.
what you want is a nurse in her 60s right? That has
Yes,
been doing this day in and day out her entire professional career.
totally.
Mm,
And she's no nonsense. She's just,
yeah.
shit.
And she's just straight in there, little scratch, and
Yeah.
then you're done. And what I didn't have was that. Why are doctors who are supposed to be, he's then going to be going into my knee joint, so shit at drawing blood. The
Mm.
amount of, "Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry," as he was, like, jamming it in and wiggling it around, and then I'm like, "What is he apologizing for? Because I don't want to look down," and he goes, "Oh, your blood vessel is," what did he say? "Spasming," and I'm like, "Well, what have you done?" You've freaked it out. Yeah.
And it's also like, okay, so he's blaming you. Yeah,
Mm. So it's my blood vessel now.
it's your
This is the
fault.
problem. My blood vessel. Well, never have I experienced such a cack-handed blood drawing session in all of my life. Oh my god. It was quite painful.
Oh
And then all the oh
God.
sorries were just like giving me the terror. And it took forever because there was so much coming out. And then he's like, "Oh, but just pump your hand again." Oh, it started again now. And I'm like, "It stopped. Like, why did it stop?" Put a hole in me.
Oh
So he
God.
finally took it out. I felt a little woozy. And then I had to go down and sit down for ages. And all I'm thinking about is, well, that was just going into a vein. Now he's going to put something into my knee joint. Ugh. Blah.
It makes me feel horrible.
I
Like I
still
need
feel
to, like,
horrible.
wiggle my whole body.
I
That's
know.
foul.
And then I was like, "You are going to be using a local anesthetic first, aren't you?" "Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, God, yes. Oh, God." Anyway, so I was terrified, but the rest of it was absolutely fine.
Really? So the local anesthetic
Local anesthetic,
bashed that on and it was
absolutely fine.
okay.
I didn't enjoy the bit where he goes, "And now I'm just going into the knee joint." And I was thinking, don't need to know,
Just do
don't need
it.
to know, don't need to know. Yeah, the rest of it was totally fine. But that was my morning. Anyway, so that was my fluids coming out and going into me.
Crikey. So how long does it take to start feeling an improvement?
3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Quite a long time.
So that's my second one. So we'll see. We'll just see how he
How was the
progresses.
first one? Did you notice anything?
I think it feels like now slightly better. Now my right knee hurts more than my left knee, and so I'm like, oh, great. So if this works and it feels good, I'm going to get my right knee done.
Mm,
Just see how.
totally.
Yeah. So anyway,
Wha
that is
I mean, it's only
extremely boring.
you
God,
going
we
back in there.
banging on about the knees and the fluids and the injections.
Well, this is what happens,
This is
isn't
what
it?
happens. But yes, particularly at my ripe age, Maddie, I'm turning 42 tomorrow, time of recording. Just in case anyone wants to wish me happy birthday, it was actually on the 3rd of May.
Oh my God, it is. Wait, it's in my diary. It's in my diary. Okay, I obviously haven't
Amazing.
looked that far ahead in a long time.
It's
Thank
not,
God you told me.
it's okay. It's okay. There's
God,
plenty
you
of
told
time.
me.
There's plenty
Oh,
of time.
God.
Oh,
How
yeah.
exciting. So you're turning 42
42.
tomorrow.
42.
42. It's one of those
Gosh.
ones. It's like 37. It's like
It's nothing really.
33.
It's
It's like,
absolutely
it's still
meaningless.
something because it's your birthday and it's a celebration of the day you entered this world, which is not nothing. But it's just doesn't have the same impact, does it, as a
No.
40? Like you've just kind of come off the back of 40, which is still quite exciting.
Well, yes. I mean, what I like is you can go early 40s and you just put it under the umbrella
Mhm.
of early 40s until you turn 45. I think
Then you're in the
that's
midsection.
then you have to accept that you're in the midsection and you remain in the midsection, I think, until you turn 50.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
don't think I don't think late 40s is a thing. It's just
no, that's unnecessary. We
you
don't
mid
need to do
40s
that.
until you're 50.
Yeah. You're just in the thick of things until you're not.
Totally.
That's how I go. I actually okay, well let me just create a segue here because I recently had a lovely little reconnection with a friend that was my colleague about 16, 17, even 18 years ago when I worked in London. And we were like, oh, lols. Remember when we were 30, we thought people in their 30s that we worked with were kind of getting on. We're like, oh God, oh, she's 36 and not married, like thinking that
Yeah.
they were what was wrong with us? What's wrong with people in their mid-20s? I tell you what, their brains aren't fully developed, and clearly that was the case. Imagine me going, "Oh my god," thinking about me being 42 and feeling absolutely no different apart from dodgy knees. Anyway, the reason I had got in touch with her, she like, we kept each other sane. You know how you
Mm.
have those colleagues that they're just like your,
You need
work
them.
partner, and
Yeah.
they totally keep you sane. Anyway, we worked with this extremely passive aggressive woman who has, like, absolutely scarred us for life. Like, 17 years down the track, we're still traumatized by her. She used to do the most extraordinary things and say the most extraordinary things to people. Like, there was
Can you
one
remember some
time.
examples?
Oh, yeah. There was one time I was in the kitchen, like, making a cup of tea. I'd borrowed my flatmate's, it was like a wraparound dress. I may have told this story before on the podcast. It was this red kind of woolen wraparound dress that I'd borrowed
Mm.
from my flatmate and dear friend, shout out Anna. And I'm sure she won't be listening to the show. Dion walks in. I'm naming her. Dion walks in. My cousin and I used to call her the Doberman. She was like super like slim, very long, sleek back hair and just could really bite. And she
Mhm.
walks in and she goes, "Oh, is that your flatmate's dress?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is." She goes, "Oh, that's nice." She goes, "Might encourage you to lose that little bit of weight you've been wanting to lose."
Oh my god. That's what a bitch.
and then she's
What
sort of
a
like,
bitch.
and then she's sort of like, just
Just comes in, throws that grenade into the kitchen, and then it's like,
smiles. And yeah,
"Bye-bye."
honestly, the most incredible passive aggressive woman you have ever met. And she
Good
would just,
god.
she'd do it to everybody. She would do it to everybody. And like she was, I'm sure I'd have definitely talked about it before. She was partially deaf and
Mhm.
she'd use it to her advantage. So sometimes she was deaf when it suited her, and sometimes she was not deaf when it didn't suit her. So if she didn't want to talk to someone or she wanted to freeze them out for a while, she'd just leave them standing next to her desk. Well, they're like, trying to like politely get her attention while she just continued to ignore them. Like, you weren't blind, like you had them in your peripheral vision. You were just choosing to blame your deafness on the fact that you couldn't be bothered talking to them and you wanted them to know.
Oh my god.
And then
Office
she'd jump and then she'd be
politics.
like, oh, Eric, I didn't see you there.
Like, well, is he supposed to put a hand on your shoulder? Like, it's just
And
so
then be done for sexual harassment. And yes,
exactly.
but there was, oh my god, there was like the absolutely rife, outrageous sexual harassment in that workplace. It was just insane, and the bullying. She was such a bully, but like in those days, you just kind of accepted it as one of like kind of the office characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just try
And
not to bait her. You just find a way to
totally.
stay on the right side of her.
And people that were high up, especially, in the 80s and 90s, I mean, they could do whatever they wanted,
She
really, couldn't
wasn't
they?
high up. She
Oh,
was the
wasn't she?
office manager. She was the executive assistant to the partners. We
I
were
just
all on the
assumed.
same level. No, she was just really mean.
Oh, God. But I remember thinking, like, when I was in my early 20s and in an office environment for the first time, it was all very exciting. And I remember thinking, like, God, the female bosses, they've got a bit of swag, they've got a bit of attitude. And like, maybe I'll grow into that. Like maybe when I'm 40, then I'll have that same swag and attitude.
I'm still waiting to feel kind of like sophisticated and grown up, like I've got it all together. And I don't think at 42, I don't. So it's never going to happen. I just need to
I
accept
would
this is how I
say
am.
I would say you are sophisticated, for sure. Yes.
That's
I think you can
considering
own
how much I laughed at like the
sophisticated.
fluid going out and the fluid going in before. I would beg to differ, Maddie, but I appreciate that you say that. That's extremely kind and generous. Anyway, the whole reason that I brought up this like workplace
That Doberman
bullying
woman.
nostalgia and the Doberman was because I saw the perfect reel that absolutely nailed her character, and without needing to say anything else, I just sent it to my old colleague. Like we haven't talked probably in a few years, and I just went shoo, the reel goes to her, and she was just like, Dion, straight back, which has been lovely because we've been able to like catch up on lots of things. Anyway, I'm going to put the reel in the show notes.
Okay.
We'll put it on stories. We'll do all the things. But anyway, Maddie, I sent it to you so that you could play it loudly into the mic
Okay.
and watch it and enjoy it and
This
just
is a
know what we had to deal with.
this is a live reaction, by the way. I
Yeah.
haven't seen this
This is
yet.
by the way, just shout out Abby Mills Comedy, I think it is.
Yeah.
ABI.
Yeah, Abby
ABIMILLs. Oh,
Abby
fuck it.
Mills
We'll put it
comedy.
we'll put it in the show notes. All right, play it into the mic.
Is that the second day you've used dry shampoo in your hair? It is. Is that top from Next? I tried that on the other day. Made me look old. Suits you though. Brings out the grey. Always eating, aren't you? Chewing in my ear. What is it this time? Fish? In an open planned office? It's a bit selfish.
Oh my God.
You don't think it smells? Even when you're not eating crab sticks, you still smell of them. Just saying.
Oh my God. It's so triggering.
It's so triggering and it's so true. And we were just like, oh my God. And then she was like, send it to Taral, like another friend that we worked with. And she was just like, Dion. and then my friend Nick was like, should I send it to her? And and I was like, do it. She goes, I don't think I've got the cojones. Even 17 years later, we're still frightened of her.
Still afraid of this woman. Do you know what? I remember this time when I was living in Melbourne and I was working at Channel 7 and like I was a
cool.
plebe. It sounds cool, but I was doing the most boring job you can ever imagine. It was like I was basically inserting data to a DOS system. Like it was horrible,
That's
truly
brutal.
horrible.
That's brutal.
Yeah, and like we were just below the sales team. The sales team were all cool and like, you know, out having lunches and with clients and stuff. And I was in my little hovel in the corner, just like entering the data. But there was this guy who I don't even know what his job was, some kind of middle management somewhere, right? No, he would have been senior management, I think. But he was just like a constantly angry red man. He was always very red. He was always pissed off about something. And one day I was at my desk and he went into the kitchen and like it was a bit of a mess, you know, coffee cups everywhere. He got one of the coffee cups, slammed it into the dishwasher, slammed the dishwasher shut and yelled out, I work with a bunch of fucking pigs. Like, in what world is that okay to act like that? And everyone was just silent, staring at each other. And like we were all furiously typing emails like, oh my fucking God, what just happened? But like he just got away with it. It was fine. You know, just, oh, that's him. You know, he's just an angry man. And I was like, I think back to that moment and like, that is unacceptable. That is absolutely unacceptable to behave like that in a work environment. Call your colleagues fucking pigs.
Imagine if a woman did that.
If a woman did
she'd
that,
get hysterical.
yeah. Yeah, she'd be called into an office so fast and people would be worried for her because they'd be like, that's not normal for a woman to be that angry. But for a man, go for it.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Go for it. We'll just walk on eggshells around you.
Smash a coffee cup, you know, slam the dishwasher shut. You just let it out. You must have a really stressful job, you know, do what you need to do.
Oh my God.
I
I remembered we used to, when there were snacks in this office, they'd get put by the printer because it was sort of a central point that everyone would walk.
Oh God, it's
past.
just, we've all worked in the same office, haven't we? Like there's a communal free snack table by the printer. Like,
yeah. So if anyone got like given stuff by clients or whatever, you know, if anyone wanted to bring something in, they'd just put it by the printer and people walk past and grab a snack, but which was also right next to Dion's desk.
Oh.
And there was one woman that we worked with and she did have some stuff going on. And so she did some stuff that was quite compulsive.
Right.
And eating was one of those things where she was quite compulsive and it was quite sort of a rapid, intense situation when she ate food.
Okay.
And when the snacks were out, she didn't have a lot of self-control around it as well. And when the snacks were out, there was one time and there was like a whole lot of like chocolates out there or something. And she just stood there and just was like shoving them in one after the other. And
oh my God.
yeah. And you can imagine Dion at this moment. And so she goes, Jesus, Zoe, it's like feeding time at the zoo.
Sorry. Holy shit. It's like an episode of The Office, truly.
When we were just sharing stories about things that we remember, and it was just insane. Like, and when you like look back at it from this distance of 17 years, it's quite funny,
Yeah.
but at the time, like, you're just so thankful to have each other because you feel like you're surviving all of the other people that are going on in the office. It was extraordinary things.
Oh,
And
it's
you're
just crazy.
you're a big part of each other's lives. Like, you know everything that's going on and all of the dramas. And it was an open plan office, but very small. So it was very intimate, the whole thing.
But it is bizarre, isn't it? How in an office scenario, you are so intimate with these people because you know everything about their lives and you talk for 8 hours a day to each other, but you still have to keep up this like facade,
Yes.
of like
Yes.
how you speak to them and how you email, because you're like, we are in an office environment, so we behave like colleagues, even though it's like, it doesn't matter, right? Because we've just made that up and put that
Yeah.
on ourselves, but still we have to adhere to the code. It's kind of
It's
bizarre.
so weird and confusing because, like, you'll go out with your team for lunch or something, and then suddenly all of those masks are off, and
Yeah.
everyone's just like, da, 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 and like then you know everything, or you go out for drinks or something like that, and then suddenly know everything, and then you've got to go and have a meeting about something, and then you've got to switch.
And then everyone's put their mask back on.
Everyone's put their mask back on, and I think for me, I find that particularly confusing, especially when you can see through all of the masks that all of the people that are wearing all the time, and I'm like, you're all just walking around pretending. Like, it's this weird, like, performance art piece, and I just find it kind of embarrassing for like everybody. Like, what's happening?
I know, but do you know what? I'm really enjoying working in an office environment again. Like, genuinely really enjoying it.
Okay, what are the
Yeah.
highlights? But I think surely it's different where you are because everyone's like in radio.
So different.
Cool.
It's so different. It's certainly not your average, corporate office vibe, because it's cool. Yeah, it's radio and media and like,
Yeah, and you're selling personalities. Like, that's
exactly.
what is happening in
So there's big personalities and, it's really fun. But I have worked in offices where it's very much a classic case of we are a corporate family,
family.
Fa-
We are. Well, it's more like the mafia though, because like you're family till you're not.
Yeah.
You're family till there's
and they'll top you off.
Yeah, your family until there's some restructuring.
Until there's financial issues, then sorry, we're going to have to cut you off.
Yeah, we were family in this office until there was a global financial crisis. So then suddenly a lot of people were getting
back to colleagues again.
Yeah. It's been some restructuring.
Oh, do you know what? And look, we're going to get off offices in a minute.
I know,
but
I wanted to
one
hear about
more.
your office as well. Like, what's happening in there? Okay, do your one thing. Sorry,
Okay.
So I won't interrupt.
This is a perfect example of like the differences between loyalty to a company and a company being loyal to you. So a company that I used to work at, I won't name them.
Just
but
say
it
it
was,
and we'll beep it out.
No, I actually can't.
Oh,
No.
God damn
No,
it.
it's too risky. It's too
Okay.
risky.
Okay,
So
fine.
it was like a big staff function, and at the staff function, they did on stage. They had a little moment where they recognized people that had been there for over 20 years. So they called out the names, and they were like, "Come on up on stage!" And so they came up, all these people, and they gave them a little pathetic prize of something, and then this old guy standing not next to me but close to me, I heard him say to the man that he was standing next to, "Oh, they must have forgotten me." And I was like, I
Oh,
am going to
oh,
cry. It was a sad. He had worked there for almost 30 years, and they couldn't even mention him in the bloody presentation and give him a shitty prize on stage. And I was like, this man has given almost 30 years of his life.
and now feels completely invisible.
Oh, I was furious.
That makes me feel
for
sick,
him.
actually.
It was horrible. And like at the
Oh.
end, I complained to whoever I could complain to, because I was
Good
like,
girl.
you missed him off, and that's terrible. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm so angry because it's like, it's a big deal. And it was just at that point, like I was still quite young. And at that point, I was like, okay, yeah. So companies at the end of the day don't really give a shit about you, do they? When it comes down to it, when push comes to shove, they'll shove you off a ledge,
Yeah,
you
they
know?
will. They absolutely will. Oh my
Not all.
God.
Not all companies. Look,
She
not all
says in case anyone
companies.
is listening.
Yeah, not all companies. There are some really great ones out there, but this made me laugh.
Oh, that's so funny. Actually, it does lead me on to another cryptic message that I dropped in our chat because it's on memes, all right? So
The message in our chat, by the way, is Bean and I have a WhatsApp chat, but we're not allowed to have conversations in there. It's purely just for dropping a
ideas.
subject or idea of what we're going to talk about in the pod. And sometimes they're very random because it's
The-
just like a word or a sentence with no context. And I'm like, okay, Bean's got something there, but
They're
I
very
don't know what that
cryptic
means.
because you want to it needs to be enough that you remember what you were going to say, but not too much that it gives it away.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll put something in there and I'm like, no, I don't know. That was so long ago that I
Should have
mentioned it.
added more.
Should have said more. Should have given more context. Okay, so I've got a problem, and no, is it a problem? I don't know. You tell me. And that I don't watch the news because I've found that not to be helpful to me mentally. So I don't watch the news. So I get my news from limited places.
Yeah.
I follow some news through Instagram, but sometimes it's not fast enough to get to me first because how have we got to a point where the funny memes about big world events come out so much faster than the actual news getting to
I
me
know.
about
I
big
know.
world events? Because the way that I found out that Pope Francis had died was someone made a gag about how Katy Perry had spent 11 minutes in a cathedral and now she's going to be the next pope. And then I was like, wait. I've got a couple of things to be catching up on here. And what I realized was that, one, Pope Francis is dead. Two, Katy Perry got sent to space for 11 minutes and was called an astronaut. And that's how we got there.
Oh my God. And honestly, the amount of bloody conversation around Katy Perry going to space. I mean,
Should we just not get into it?
let's not get into it, but I do have a little rant that I want to just
please.
let out of my system before we
We
move on.
are always here for a rant.
Okay, so Katy Perry has done nothing wrong. She enjoyed a very exciting, possibly once in a lifetime, rocket trip to space for 11 minutes and came back down. Okay? Yeah, she may have said some pretty silly things during and after that excursion. We've all said silly things. Who cares? But the amount of pile on I have seen on social media is borderline misogynist, truly, because it's like, that men have gone to space as a tourist activity. Like that has happened. And if Katy Perry was a man, do you think this would have happened? That people would be taking the piss out of everything she says and laughing at her for being, in quotes, stupid or not an astronaut? She's not an astronaut and she doesn't pretend to be, but she's allowed to speak her mind and she's allowed to talk about her experience and that she's into astrology. She's allowed to say that. She hasn't hurt anyone. And it's just like article and meme after meme after meme. And now it's like, oh, her tour's flopping because she's so cringe. And it's just like, how
I'm sure it's not. I
horrible.
think if you're a Katy Perry fan, you're not going to backtrack because of some memes on Instagram.
Totally. But it's just, I found it really shocking, that people think it's okay to annihilate someone just because of something that they chose to do that didn't hurt anyone. Yes,
Yeah.
I can see the issues with it. Absolutely, I can. But why is she the only one getting all of this?
Because she's the one that's most pop culture. That's why.
Exactly, because
That's the
people
only
think
reason.
yeah, people think that they can sort of punch down in a way because she is part of like a, frivolous pop culture that she doesn't have any substance.
Well,
And I just think
that
it's
and
foul.
the jokes that they make, the algorithm will take further because more people will understand them.
Yeah.
It's think it's the success of the memes and jokes that are being made. They will go further
Yeah.
because more people know who Katy Perry is
Yeah.
and will get them. That's it
Totally.
really. And
Totally.
honestly, there's no context for me going to space. But if like I'm not sure of the details of how they got there and if they were sent or if they, you know, chose to go themselves or how that whole thing worked. But if someone was like, "Hey, do you want to go to space? It's only going to be for 11 minutes, but are you keen?" I'm like, "Yes." I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Totally.
will. And I'm going to get out of there, and I'm also not going to be an astronaut, and I'm probably going to say something silly. Well, deal with it. I went to space. Did you?
Yeah, it's just I just don't I don't understand. Like, yes, sure, there are some issues with the whole thing. I get that. I understand that part. But I just think it's a sad state of society that people think that's okay to be so horrible to someone. And it's like there are really nasty people out there doing really horrible things. Maybe direct your
Pile on them.
angry pile on energy to them. You know?
But it's that case of like, what are the easy targets, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly.
And if you say anything that makes you an easy target and
Yeah.
you're in the public eye like she is doing what she's doing and people obviously think that they don't need to take her very seriously,
Mm,
then
yeah.
you just
Just
get
sad.
bullied. It is a bit sad. It is a bit sad. I will admit to having a little snigger at that meme about her being the next pope because she'd spent 11 minutes in the cathedral. I, I did think it was quite funny.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I feel like these algorithms have just found a chink in the armor of human nature, and
Yeah.
they kind of exploit the worst parts of us
Yeah. 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 Like they
and then it
celebrate people being
amplifies
mean.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the thing that I'm annoyed about with the whole thing is that it's got too much airtime. We're not helping. But it's like
Yeah.
it's got way too much
Here we are going on about it
airtime.
still.
Like, okay, some irrelevant people went to space.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. All right. Well, what else is going on?
Yeah. Lots. Lots.
Apparently, which I
Yeah.
don't know about because all I've been seeing is those memes.
I know. Oh God.
Oh God.
Life do be crazy sometimes.
Life do be crazy. Indeed. Indeed it is. Maddie, Milo has started school.
He has started school and he's been there 5 days so far. And can I just say, he is thriving. Absolutely thriving.
Oh, is it because he has been reading the My Big Moments Ready for School book written by
It's
yours
all
truly and
it's all my big
personalized
moments.
for Milo himself? So
But
he
we
was in
have
the
been
story working
we
through his
have been
preparation.
exactly, so he knew what
Oh,
to
quite
expect because
right.
he's read it in the book. But honestly, we've been hitting that book hard. Big
Oh,
time.
bless you.
So Milo and Perry, they're like this. Perry is the other character in the book, by the way. And I've just been blown away by him. So on the first day, we had a bit of a curveball because we had one school visit before the school holidays, and it went really well. I was there the whole time, but I was just sort of lurking in the background.
Mhm.
And I could tell he was a bit nervous, he was a bit quiet. But by the end of it, he was like, "Bye, everyone." And I'm like, "Bye, Milo." He's got a really lovely class and great teacher. And then after the holidays, he had one more school visit before he started officially on Monday. And I was like, "It's all good. I'll be with you the whole time. It's another half day." And he was like, "Okay." And then we got there, and then his teacher was like, "Do you just want to go and wait in the staff room while he settles in for his first half day, and then he'll be ready for tomorrow?" And I was like, "Sure." And I explained that to Milo, and he was like, "Okay." And so I think that just kind of threw him off a little bit, just that I hadn't prepared him for me not being there for that half
Mhm.
day. But he did really well. He was great. He was exhausted after it. And then
Mm.
the next day, he woke up in the morning. We sat down for breakfast and he was like, "I don't want to go to school." And I was like, "Oh no." And he just it was almost like he had to have this release because once he started crying, he just cried and cried and cried. And I was like, do you want to just go back to bed for a minute and just have a little lie down? Well, I'll put a story on for a second and you could just have a minute. And he was like, hey, yeah. And he got back into bed. He was still crying. I was like in the kitchen making toast. I could still hear him crying. And I was like, oh my God,
Oh,
little guy. So I was then feeling nervous. Like, oh God, is this how it's going to be? But funnily enough, all it took was we got in the car and then he was all right in the car. We were sort of chatting about things. And then when we arrived, he started to get upset again. And I was like pulling all my tricks out, all the tools in the toolbox. And then he was still a bit upset. And I was like, oh, do you know what, Milo? I just remembered something. And he was like, what? I was like, we've got those Easter eggs from Grandpa. I forgot about them. Maybe we should have them after school. And he was like, are they chocolate? And I was like, yeah, they're chocolate. Should we have that after school? And he was like, okay. And then he was completely fine. And then he was just like, yeah, all right, sweet. And then he was absolutely fine. And ever since that first full day of him being on his own, he loves it. He loves
oh,
it. I
that's
know.
so good.
I know. Yeah.
And
And
how
like in the car this morning, he was going, school, 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 school in the back seat. I was like,
do
yeah,
you
okay,
do that
cool.
on the way to work? Like work, work, work.
Just let me at it. Yeah, but he's loving it. It's really
Oh,
cool.
that's so good. Sometimes all
I
you need
know.
is a little bit of, mental redirection with a nice little incentive,
Just a little something to look forward to after school. A little chocky Easter egg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a wee something. Oh, good for
And then
him.
I know, and then I called Dad and told him that story because he is Grandpa. The Easter eggs were from him. And he goes, see, I've said it all my life. Chocolate fixes everything.
Do you
Like,
know,
so cute.
he's not wrong.
Well, it kind of does.
It does fix an awful lot of things.
It does. Maybe not a long-term fix, but short-term
Sure.
for sure.
For sure. Little Band-Aid, just a little chalky Band-Aid.
Yeah, little
It's
chalky
great.
Band-Aid.
Oh,
I'm
good
not
for him.
opposed.
And like sometimes I just think like the anticipation and the unknown and just the build up and just, and also the energy of coping with new stuff all day is
Yeah.
just it's the whole thing.
It's a lot. It is a
Yeah.
lot. So I'm really proud of him. He's been doing really well, but he's exhausted after school. He
Yeah.
just because I don't see him until the evening and sometimes he's asleep. But my art said he's just been very quiet with Lego and Duplo, and he's just does want to talk. He just wants to decompress and be in silence.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I get that.
he and Alex have a lot in common, and like when Alex gets home from school, there's been so much stimulus and so many
Mhm.
people and so much noise, and he actually just needs to completely decompress, recharge,
Yeah.
in quiet, often on his own, and they've just got to balance that out.
Yes, they have the same
They're
mechanism.
cut from the same cloth, those
They
ones,
are.
aren't they?
They
Oh
totally
my
are.
God, they're like cantankerous old men in little boys' bodies.
I know. Yep. He's just got to go and create alone for a bit.
Mhm.
And I
Fine.
totally understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally fine. I was just going to check in on how the house is going. As we know, it's for sale.
It is for sale
We
at the moment.
going with open
Mm,
homes.
oh, well, we've moved out.
Yes, no,
So,
no.
oh, yes,
Sorry.
yes, yes. So, open homes are they're great. We've got our last ones this weekend as we
Mhm.
speak. And then we've got auction on Wednesday,
Next Wednesday.
next Wednesday.
Oh, that'll
So,
happen by the time this comes out. We're doing this in advance because I'm actually
oh,
going.
yes,
Well,
it will. It will. It
kind of
will.
going on holiday next week.
So house might be sold or it might not. I really hope it will be.
Oh, fingers
That
crossed.
would be fantastic. So yes, we shall see. But it's quite an unpleasant process, I'll be honest. Just I
Mm,
think when you're I can't remember if we talked about this on the podcast before, but when your home base is unstable,
mm,
don't you think it's like this ripple effect on everything?
yeah,
Just
it's
feels a little
exhausting.
bit off kilter
Yeah,
when you're staying somewhere that you're not used to and you don't know what the future's going to hold. You're like in this holding pattern of what's going to happen with this because that's going to obviously determine what happens with the next thing. And it's all up in the
yeah,
air. So
yeah.
it's just a
It's
kind of funny
uncomfortable.
feeling. Yeah. So
Little
it's been a
limbo.
lot for Milo, not living in his house, starting school. It's been a big deal. And Audie has dealt with the stress of it all by wearing skirts on her head. And that's her thing. That's her
Ah,
new thing.
that's
So
nice. Do you know what? It's a very accessible coping mechanism.
it's very accessible.
I'm
And
not ruling it out as an option.
she just really wants long hair. So
Ugh,
she's doing what she can.
look, me and her both.
Don't we all, Audie? Don't we all? So she's like, well, if I can't have it myself, no one will notice if it's a skirt. Look, it is noticeable.
So you have noticed a difference.
Yeah, I've been like,
You
I don't
did
reckon that's
pick it.
hair. But she's honestly, it's just the cutest thing. Not just any skirt, like her most insane skirts. She's like, I reckon this is going to be the perfect substitute. It's very sweet. And she insisted on wearing it to drop Milo off at school. And she came in and Milo's teacher was like, oh,
That was going to be my next question. Is this an at-home thing or is this an out and about look?
it's an out and about thing. It's
Good for her.
and she's so confident, and which is amazing. So I'm like, hey, what skirt you gonna put on your head today, doll?
Great.
You know, we're gonna go rainbow or
Oh,
unicorn? What are we thinking?
it's kind of like borderline nun's habit sort of situation, isn't it?
It is. Oh god, they are hilarious, aren't they? Funny,
Oh.
funny little people
Oh,
with their
that's so
little
cute.
quirks. I know.
Their little
I know.
quirks. I know. Well, Alex, do you know, I had this moment the other night where I'm like, he's 12 now, he's nearly 12 and a half. And we were eating dinner in front of the TV, real special family time. But sometimes it's like the fire is on and like we all just want to get cozy and be comfy. And like,
Totally.
I kind of like watching a show with them.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then we could all just kind of chill together. So the other night we didn't know what to watch. And so they elected to watch Bluey. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, let's watch Bluey. Our Bluey days are numbered. Like we're all
You got to take them
already,
when you can get them.
yeah, we're all already probably too old now for Bluey. But if they're like, well, let's watch Bluey, I'm like, well, Bluey is good. And I'm into it. And I was just thinking, my God, Alex, you know, like he's going to be 13 at the end of the year.
Mm.
If he wants to watch Bluey, I'm
By
here
God,
for
we're
it
going to
when
watch
it
Bluey.
happens. We are damn well going to watch Bluey. But he made an interesting observation. And he's like, we're watching it, and he goes, man, their parents play with them all the time.
It's the blessing and the curse with Bluey.
This is the thing, and I'm like, yeah, it makes me feel kind of guilty. He's like, yeah, I understand that. And he's like, they never say no. And I'm like, Dad, you never see them at work. They're
It's
never
only a
working
highlight
though.
reel, Alex. It's a highlight reel.
Yeah.
Okay?
They're like, and they're never tired. Like, they're not too tired. Like, they always say yes. And I'm like, it's a cartoon, Alex. It is
They're
a cartoon.
dogs, okay? They're cartoon dogs. It's not real life. All right? This is not what real parents are like. Well, sometimes. But certainly not all the time.
But no, like 95% of the time, no. But he was like, they never say no. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so guilty. And I was like, they made me feel guilty. It's like, yeah, I can understand that.
I could understand that. Yeah. Yeah, I would too if I was you.
Oh God, those bastard dogs. Like, it's so entertaining, but then it just calls you out so much as a parent.
Yeah. Yeah. They're bloody good though. They're inspiring, those dogs. They're
I
bloody good
know.
parents.
They're
Oh,
bloody
Chili
good
and
parents.
God, what's his name? Bandit and
Bandit.
Chili.
That's the one.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen what they look like in real life?
No.
Oh, I have.
And?
I reckon it almost like with any kind of cartoon show, I think it takes away from it when you
see
see
the people.
pictures or you see videos of the real people talking and you're like, oh, you're actually not a cartoon dog. You're a human being. And it's kind of,
Yeah, now you can't
just-
unsee it.
yeah, broken something for me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
The
know,
magic is
but
gone.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get over it.
How was the
I'll move
magic
past
of your
it.
Easter?
It was, I mean, it was not hugely magical. It was extremely stormy where we're living because it was during the cyclone. And so we did an Easter egg hunt, and the Easter bunny had wrapped all the Easter eggs in Glad wrap, which was, I thought was actually very
Oh,
clever.
Yes,
but
that was
because it
very
was torrential
conscientious.
rain. And no, actually, it wasn't too rainy, but it was so windy and so intense. The photos and videos are hilarious. Everyone's just like fighting for their lives trying to find these Easter eggs. And so, yeah, it definitely wasn't the most magical Easter I've ever had. I mean, Art and I were like, he had a bit on, and it was a cyclone, and we were kind of stuck inside. And the rental, like, it is an amazing rental, and I love it. But it's different. It's not home.
Yes.
They don't have many toys, and they don't have. So it's different. It's different.
Don't worry, you didn't have to have a bluey Easter.
You can't have a bluey Easter every year, I
No,
don't think,
you
because then
can't.
the good ones don't stand out because they're all
What
good.
yeah, what I like about Easter is that it can be quite a low-key event.
Yeah.
There's not too much expectation. Obviously, there's Easter eggs,
Mm.
and for some people, it's about church and things, and that's that sort of community and whatnot. But for most people, I think it's pretty fair to say
It's about chocolate.
it's about chocolate.
Yeah.
And it's about finding it and eating it whenever you want, and that it's okay without judgment because
Yeah.
it's seasonal. It is
Yeah.
seasonal overconsumption, and we're okay with it. Um,
Totally.
but there's not too much expectation around Easter, which I really like.
Yeah.
You can go as big or small as you like, so long as there's chocolate eggs.
Yeah.
You've kind of done it. So we went out to my sister's place and I say we made a hunt for the children. She made the hunt for the children. In our family, we do like clues, like
Love it.
cryptic clues. And then one clue will lead to the next clue, will lead to the next clue. And then there was like little eggs kind of stashed all over the place. They had to use their powers of observation, which
Mm.
were questionable at best. And then we were like, well, that's fine because if you leave any behind, we'll just go and scoop them up and have them ourselves.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
that's actually ideal for us. Please don't look too hard. So they went out and they did that, and they had such a good time. They were in little teams of 2, figuring out the clues and going around. And they knew that we had also stashed extra eggs in all kinds of places to find. So when they'd come back with their big eggs and stuff like that, they were like, "Have we found them all?" And we were just like, "Oh no, no,
Oh.
no."
Oh no.
No, there's so many out there. Did you not find you didn't no, you didn't go in that area? Oh, no, no, there's still heaps out there. And we just kept sending them back and sending them back and sending them back and sending them back. And we're like, they're never gonna know. They're never gonna know. This is great. The lure of potential chocolate to discover outside. We're like,
Oh.
oh, I don't think you've searched that area very well. We definitely put quite a cluster over there. I don't think you've found them all.
So they're
Um,
like, right, get the spade. We're digging up the yard.
yeah, it was brilliant, and they're all out working together trying to find these eggs, and they had found them. Like they had found them all for quite some time. We're like, oh, don't think so.
Oh yeah. Another 10 minutes out there is not going to hurt anyone, is that?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I do have one complaint though about our Easter season, and that
Yeah.
is that we miss out on like Pancake Day.
Oh, I
Uh,
had Pancake Day in London. I thought it
yeah,
was
it's
the day before Lent.
Pancake Day 2025. Like what? Look, we do everything else. Tuesday, the 4th of March, 2025.
Why do we not do
It's
Pancake Day?
Shrove Tuesday, which marks the end of the pre-Lenten season. Lent begins the following day with Ash Wednesday, Matilda.
Yeah, so the idea is to make a pancake out of everything in the fridge or something, isn't it? I think that's why.
Is Pancake Day just a UK thing? It's a Christian festival marked all over the world,
That's
but in the
weird.
UK, Ireland, Canada, and Australia, it's often celebrated by eating pancakes. How has it not made it here? Why are we doing everything else that's fun, but someone's like, no, we won't bother with Pancake Day? Like, one of all days to miss out, there's other days I'm happy to kick off the calendar and
Yeah,
replace it with Pancake Day.
totally. What would you get rid of? There
Mm.
we go. I'm going to put you on the spot there.
Do you know what? Maybe like King's birthday.
I was thinking the same. Yeah.
Like, what do we do? What do we get?
Well, we get a day
No,
off.
we get it. Yeah, we get a day off. Wait, oh no, because
But
actually, hey, because you don't get a day off for Pancake Day, but you do get
true.
pancakes. I
Well,
wouldn't. I
let's
wouldn't
change
trade a
it.
day off. Okay, so okay, well, why don't we just like rebrand?
Yeah, we'll rebrand King's birthday to Pancake Day.
Done. Agreed.
Okay.
Okay,
There you
put
go.
that in the minutes.
Problem
Right.
solved. God, how hard is it in the bloody beehive? I mean, we've just solved something
I know,
in
give us another problem. We'll
10
sort
minutes.
it
But
out.
I have another problem that I have now discovered with Easter.
Okay.
So I kind of dabble in Christianity sometimes. You know, I kind of like
When it
pick and
suits you?
choose. I kind of like pick and choose parts of it
Did
that
you
I
baptize your
like.
children?
No, but I do take them to church sometimes. Art's not into it, but I am, and so we sometimes go. But it's not like a strict thing. But like I've talked about Jesus before and talked about some of the things that we've, you know, talked about in church or whatever, but we're not, you know, like it's not that intense. But around Easter and Christmas, like I do like to just touch on what it actually is, just so they can, because I feel like, well, if we're going to celebrate it, I do think it's
You
important
should
for
know. You
them
should
to
know. You
know.
should know the background.
Yeah, like it's important for them to understand why we celebrate it, I think. And so with Easter, I was like, okay, well, I did it last year where I printed off. Oh no, I think it was Christmas. I did that. Printed off the story, read it to them,
Mm.
lost them in the first 2 minutes. They were like
Mm.
wandering off. But this Easter, I found a book at the library and I was like, oh, cool, Easter story for kids. Great. I'll take that home and read it to them. And I had kind of forgotten, like, the intensity
Of
of
what
it.
happens.
So I was reading it, and as I was reading it, I was like, oh, that's right. Oh, far
Someone's
out.
about to get nailed onto a cross.
He gets nailed on, then he kind of gets like starved, and then he
stabbed.
gets like it's really
It's
intense.
quite a lot, Maddie.
It's really intense.
Couldn't have
And I
started
was
with a
reading
Christmas
it.
story where a baby gets born in a fucking stable.
I did. I read the Christmas story, and I think it lulled me into a false sense of security because I was like, that's right. Like, that's a lovely story. You know, there's no room at the inn. Jesus is born. It's all very exciting. Everyone's happy. I'm like, oh, you know, it's Jesus' birthday. Great. And then Easter rolled around. I'm like, and then Jesus got nailed to the cross because they didn't like
that
him.
he had to drag through the town.
And he had to drag it through the town as he was nailed onto it. And then he died.
But
But then he came back to life.
And the great thing is chocolate solves everything, and this is why.
But it was sort of a bit awkward because as I was reading it to them,
you were already too far in before you realized
I was
what
too
you were
far
gonna
in.
have to.
So I was kind of censoring it as I was going, and it was
It's hard to
for
get around
children
someone being
nailed.
crucified.
It is, and that is kind of the crux of the story, isn't it? Like,
Well, it is.
He gets crucified, and as I was reading it to them, then afterwards, I was like, I'm not sure how I feel, and I was like, I know what you're going to say. Yeah, let's think about this later and figure out what our family vibe is, because I don't know what to do about this. I had the best intentions, and then I was like, oh God, like, oh, and then Audie, bless her soul, nothing gets past her, right? She's very observant.
It's the kind
She's
of thing
very
you
inquisitive.
you don't forget, you
No.
know.
No, it's a lot. So she was like, so how did he die? And I was like, well, I think he probably died from the injuries from the nails.
No, I don't think that's right though, Maddie.
And then he starved, didn't he?
No, well, I don't think that's right because I think that haven't they tried to figure out what would have actually killed him?
Yeah, and I think it would, like, wasn't it the starvation?
Well, no, I think okay, we're on the cusp of googling this, aren't we? Because why don't you Google while I say what I think? Because okay. And there's an Easter egg writing on this. I tell you what, those Buzz Bar marshmallow ones, 10 out of 10. I think what they decided would have actually killed him was suffocation because of like hanging there, eventually not able to breathe.
Yes. So it says here, Jesus' death on the cross resulted primarily from asphyxiation and hypovolemic shock, which is hemorrhage and dehydration. Likely exacerbated
Night,
by the
kids.
scourging he endured before crucifixion. I mean, my God. Oh, and then there's also a spear wound. So after it was believed Jesus had died, a soldier pierced his side with a spear to ensure his death. I mean, it's horrific.
Gather round, kids. Gather round. We're going to have a little bedtime story.
I committed early, and then I was like, okay, I think next Easter, I was like, okay, let's just have a little team talk before we sort of get too far into this.
Whoopsies.
I know. And Audie's just asked a bunch of questions. She's like, how did he come back alive? It's like, well, I don't know. That's kind of
Well, this is part of the mystery, okay?
it's part of the mystery. It's part of the magic of Jesus. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, will everyone come back to life? It's like, no, they won't. I don't know. Okay, let's stop talking about this.
Do you want to watch Bluey?
Yeah.
Oh God! Well, I love that you dug yourself into that hole there. Okay, question, and you know what? Like I understand. My children are actually baptized. I kind of just was like, do you know what? It was one of those things that just kind of brought everybody together.
Totally.
Like I am not a practicing
it is.
Christian.
It's a
at
beautiful
all.
thing,
It's,
because the
like
family's
come celebrate
around.
this
It's
baby. It's kind of like, and here are the people that you know are going to be important in your life. I hope that you can rely on. Here
yeah,
they are. You're going to say some Christian stuff. And like that doesn't particularly resonate with me, but it was about the people being around
totally.
and kind of just welcoming this baby into our lives and into the world and giving them their name. And that was kind of really what it was about. And I'm like, do you know what? And my ex-husband's aunt is a minister.
Oh,
So
nice.
it kind of was very convenient just to do that, and you make of it what you will. So we did do that. They don't go to church with me; they do with my ex and his wife. But yeah, but we talk about in our family like you're going to be presented with a whole lot of different options and information.
Hmm.
I want you to decide what feels right for you. There is no wrong choice. It is all
Yeah,
about what resonates with you. Okay.
totally.
You are going to have to go to some of these things because you have to go sometimes, and you need to know how to behave when you're there, and you need to know what it's for. But that doesn't mean that you have to believe in anything in particular. That is your decision to make.
Yeah,
So that's how we roll with it. I'm not surprised you end up going to church because there's so many churches per capita in Warkworth, you're going to have trouble not accidentally walking into one.
they're everywhere.
Here,
They are positively everywhere.
they are positively everywhere. Here is my question. When you talk about Jesus
Hmm.
with your kids, how do you explain him and why people think he's important?
Well, I'm certainly no expert at all, but
What?
how I've done it is because when they go to church with me, it's obviously quite intense because it's church, right? That's the whole point of it. So they're all in at church, and then when we come home, like we've only been like 5 times or something, but then coming home if they have questions about Jesus, like I've kind of framed it as, well, Jesus was a person that was alive, over 2,000 years ago. And he was just such a special person who was such a great example for subsequent generations of people and how to live our lives with love and kindness without judgment, all of these things. And so I've just kept it really light as to, like, he was just such a wonderful example of giving to other people and helping those that need it and having unconditional love for those around him, that we look to, or people look to him as an example, that he was so wonderful at doing that. And so that is going to inspire me to do it in my life, even when it's hard, because he did it even when it was hard. So that's kind of how I've explained it, just kept it open and broad. And because the whole reason that I got into it was that I kind of wanted them to, one, have an understanding of it, because then they can make that choice for themselves, whether they want to be a part of that or not. And two, community. And three, some sort of moral compass that is outside of me and art, telling them what is right. So maybe if they resonate with it, and I don't push anything at all, I just like for them to understand it, then they can have that for themselves if they want it, and that's not from me and it's not from art. It's just something that they've experienced, that they resonate with, that they think, I like this and now I have this for myself, and it's helping me decipher life,
Yeah.
basically.
No, I think you've done well. I think that's a good explanation. Because I think, like, it's never... I mean, I think it's important to find some connection to your spiritual life and something that is deeper than the storyline level of what we're experiencing on a day-to-day level and what we get caught up with and what's going on in the world and with all the other people. Like, to look a little bit deeper, be a bit more kind of insightful and philosophical and broader thinking. And I think, it's got to be whatever your entry point is, that resonates with you. I think it's important to find something, to find that deeper connection with your existence and with others around you and with the environment and the world that we live in.
Totally.
And I think it's going to be important to present entry points to our children along the way, and then for them to figure out, this is the one that I feel called towards.
Yeah.
And I think I feel like I don't feel resonance with church and community in that way. And I, I had been forced to go to Sunday school as a kid, which was mainly just free babysitting, and then my secondary school was an Anglican school, and then there was a lot of force. There was just a lot of shit forced on you, and kind of as beliefs that we were supposed to go along with, but nothing clicked there.
And
And
there's
it just
no
felt...
well, I didn't find that there was any discussion about it. It was just like, this
No.
is it.
And then you're supposed to just be like, okay, like that's what it felt like. Like, oh, okay. I mean, and then and the whole connection with Jesus, and I'm like, but I'm not feeling it. Like, you're saying these things. I get that essentially the messages are good, that this way of living is advisable, but I'm not feeling a connection here, and I'm not feeling a connection more deeply with what you're saying or within myself. And I think until I got that... Actually, it was always through my own experiences. Even as a kid, I felt that connection.
Yeah.
But that wasn't...
You found it on your own.
I found it on my own, and it was always there. And I think, and then I just had to like come around and find my way back to it through different, through different methods. But yeah, I think to know that we need to connect more deeply, and that there's more than just what we're faced with on the surface level all the time, I think is important.
100%. And whatever it is, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It's all essentially, when it boils right down to it, it's all a similar thing.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's all just spirituality and connection to something deeper than ourselves.
Yeah.
And I just like the thought. I like parts of it, basically, and I like to be able to discuss it with the kids, and then they can make their own choice about that when they want to.
This wasn't on our list, was it, Maddie?
It certainly wasn't.
But I think
we have taken it
we
to another level.
have.
I wasn't expecting existential religion chat.
No,
but here we are. Here we are. These things happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it can be so... It can be such a tricky thing to talk about. Like, there can be so much pain and trauma and emotion and connotations and everything around it. But like, what's the point? What's the purpose of it on the whole? And for you, I think is also always interesting. And I think those things can be lost very easily.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What is the deeper purpose?
Okay. Well.
Look. Hey.
On that note. On that incredibly random note.
Random note.
We're going to have to call it a day.
We are, aren't we?
Yep, we are. But hey, great to see you. Great to be back on the tools.
Lovely to see you too. I've missed you.
Oh, me too. Oh my God, it just feels so nice to just be back into it. And
I
just
know, doesn't it?
offload.
And just start with a few ideas of stuff to talk about, then go completely off piste.
Totally rogue. Well, anyway, as always, thank you for listening. And we will be back next week with another episode of Untidy.
Indeed, we will. Maddie, have a great day. And
You
everyone,
too.
you all take care out there. And whether or not you decide to go to church this weekend, hey, entirely up to you.
No judgment from us, okay?
I
Whatever
can't wait.
floats your boat.
I can't wait for the next chapter in this when Maddie's children are like, oh, but if everyone liked him so much, why'd they crucify him? Yeah, good question.
Well,
Come back to us on that.
That is the question. Let me just prepare an answer for that one.
All right, everybody, take care. Lots of love. Mā te wā.
Bye.